Hey friends, it is psychic medium Josh Simons coming to you today with a video, and I haven't done one of these in a while, and being told by whomever or whatever that it would be a good idea to do this because the message that I have today is one that people are going to need to hear, and I follow what they have to say to me. These wiser and greater energies than me around me that are my benefactors, right? I like to call them my benefactors unseen. I think of them as ancestors, think of them as greater and wiser spirits. I hesitate to use the words like angels or gods or anything like that, but I do know that there are greater and wiser and larger energies than just my ancestors, than really anything that's ever been human around me, helping me, that love humanity and have a lot of compassion for humanity and our struggles. So today I want to talk to you about hell. H-E double hockey sticks, capital H-E-L-L. And as you can imagine, doing the work that I do and communicating with spirit on the other side, whatever the other side is, capital O, capital T, the other side, I have to come to you with something that you may see as a bit controversial. I will tell you from my work and my experience that hell does not exist. Now, I have a long, sordid history with what you can call revealed religions that were given to man by man, revealed, right? And this goes from Abrahamic religions like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, to even Eastern religions like Buddhism, right? Anything that comes from a man. And that's not to say that people haven't channeled mystic principles, right, for the betterment of humankind, because I do believe that there's a little bit of truth and a little bit of goodness in all world religions. But when we have programs, and essentially you can look at major world religions as programs, right? When you have programs created by other people, there's a way for those programs to be manipulated, to hurt others, to be controlled by others. And something that really, really disturbs me and upsets me, and has since I was a wee child, is the use of fear to control people. And we see that in politics, we see it in religion, we see it in the idea of hell, right? H-E double hockey sticks. The idea that there's a lake of fire where everyone will burn for eternity if they don't follow a certain set of rules. Look at what religion does, right? Religion in its common form, especially the major world religions of Christianity, say, follow our rules. If you don't follow our rules, you're going to pay for it, right? Look at what politics does. It seems like, especially in the United States, a lot of the politics, and I see this in other places in the world, first you get divided, right? You get two sides in the United States that you generally have to pick from, Democrat or Republican. If you don't like one, you're basically choosing the lesser of two evils, and that's what our politics in the United States has been for a long time. But now what I see, especially with the United States election coming up, is it's not what I have done for you. It's not what I can do for you as a politician. It's, you better vote for me because the other guy's really scary. And that pisses me off. Vote for me, follow me, because the alternative isn't one you're going to want to live with, right? It's not what I can do for you. It's what the other person's going to do worse than me. And I really, really dislike that. And I see that in the idea of hell, right? Don't take the Lord's name in vain, or you're going to hell. Don't, there's a bevy of sins where if you're not absolved of them by a man, right, especially in some religions, that you're going to burn in a lake of fire. Now, if you're somebody that does truly believe in hell, you should probably stop watching this video, because I'm telling you, from my experience, I don't see people going there. And I have communicated with some people who were less than savory, some people that certainly sinned from the classic definition of the term. I will tell you, though, that there is a hell, and maybe it's not capital H-E, double hockey sticks, it's small H-E-L-L, right? I want you to think that, and I use this analogy all the time, the thing that separates our world from the spirit world from over there, O, big T, over there, is like a mirror in a detective movie or a cop show where, if the suspects are on one side, right, and there's a mirror on the wall and they can't see through it, but the detectives are on the other side and they can look back through it. That's very much like what the spirit world is, in the way that spirit, our ancestors, our loved ones, those greater or wiser powers than us, are over there watching us, and they feel us, they sense us, they know our pains, they know our emotional and our energetic signatures, but mainly we're kind of over here oblivious to them. There are some people that have stronger connections through that mirror than others, but it's really frustrating for spirit to see us, because while we're beautiful and amazing creatures, we are so damn obstinate. And that's true for any human being, really. To a certain level, they're very obstinate, and they're very short-sighted, and they very much see themselves through the objective filter versus the subjective filter. Or, excuse me, the subjective filter versus the objective filter. They see their stories from the inside out versus the outside in. And spirit can see our stories and ourselves from the outside in. And they see that we are so beautiful, so intelligent, so smart, so creative. We have so much potential, but our biggest enemy is ourself, right? I'm sure that you're watching this, and a lot of people will fall into this category of they're their own worst enemy when they should really be their own best friend, right? You should be your own biggest cheerleader. You should be your own biggest supporter. You should have as much compassion for yourself as you do for other people. And most of us don't have that. Now, what hell is I'm going to get right to it. Hell is regret. When we get to the end of our life and we know regret, right? And we all will, right? We'll all look back at our life and wish that we had done things differently, treated people differently, taken different paths. And now you're talking about a matter of degree, right? When you get to the end of your life and you wish that you had done things differently to a massive degree, or when you get to the other side of that mirror, when you cross that boundary, when you go over there and you look back on your life and you look back on the people that you have left behind, if you know massive, massive loads of regret, that is hell. That is hell. It's interesting, the idea of suicide, and suicide is very close to my heart, in the way that I've communicated with a lot of spirits who have taken their own life. And when people consider suicide, they do so from a place of imbalance, and they do so from a place of wanting to rid themselves of pain, right? But people who commit suicide, they don't just poof out of existence. They don't go to a place of oblivion. And it's interesting that, a lot of world religions will say, you commit suicide, you're going to hell. And they are, just not capital H-E, double hockey sticks. They're going to small H-E, double hockey sticks, right? They're going to a place on the other side of that mirror where they can look through the mirror and they can see the pain and the misery that they have caused those that they've left behind. And ultimately, when a person does commit suicide, that's what they're doing. And I'm not here to talk about it being selfish. I'm not here to talk about mental illness or anything. People commit suicide for a bevy of reasons, all sorts of reasons. And 99.9% of the time when they do, they cause people pain, right? Regret is hell. getting to the end of your life and wishing that you had done things differently. I'll give you an example. Ever since I was a small child, about 3, I knew 2 things. I knew that I loved creepy stuff. I knew that I loved ghosts and vampires and werewolves and zombies and UFOs and all that stuff. I also knew I liked boys. I liked men, right? I knew I was gay from a very early age. And that doesn't happen to everybody, right? Everybody's sexual journey, just like their spiritual journey, is different. But I knew. I also knew that I lived in a world that didn't accept me, didn't want me. And that was hard, right? To know that I was attracted to the same sex, and that I not only had culture from a religious standpoint, but from just a social standpoint, thinking that I was less than, thinking that I was an abomination, thinking that I didn't deserve peace, joy, or happiness, or even love. That was hard for me, and I'm 41. I came out to the world at large, including my parents, probably around the age of 28, 29. And I think back on the younger version of myself, and I think, wow, living in rural northern New England, going through those decades, almost 3 decades of feeling like I was lesser than, feeling like I was an abomination. That affects somebody, right? No matter how much they process it after the fact, that affects somebody and their idea of self-worth. And over the past 12, 13 years, however long it's been, I've been working on that, right? To understand that I am worthy of love and worthy of peace and happiness. If I hadn't come out of the closet, if I had just continued to hide and agree with culture and society and religion, and that I was an abomination, I'd be absolutely miserable, and I would have missed out on the best love of my life. This isn't a PSA on coming out, right? But if you're watching it and that speaks to you, of course, this is a reminder that you may only live once. Reincarnation is a funny thing. I do think it happens. I do think that we as spirits can choose to come back into this world. I don't think it's an automatic thing. I think oftentimes ancestors and loved ones stay on the other side to help support those living in this world. But if reincarnation isn't a thing, and this is our only go-round, you need to understand that you must do everything in this world to live a life of love, of peace, of joy, and togetherness. I call those the 4 pillars, right? And I've learned that from Spirit in the way that that's what they want for us, right? And they're frustrated with us because we don't cultivate those things, right? For the most part, some of us are selfish, some of us are greedy, some of us are materialistic, when really ultimately the 4 pillars of what we should be cultivating are love, joy, peace, and togetherness. Our family, our tribe, our community. If I wasn't brave enough to come out of the broom closet, as you will, and step into this role of a psychic medium, I would have missed out on the most fulfilling profession, most fulfilling path that I could have ever asked for. Ultimately, to know regret is to know fear. Because we weren't scared of, or we weren't brave enough to live the life that we wanted to, right? I'm not pounding my own chest going, oh, I was so brave. Oh, look at me, right? I hope to inspire you to find whatever that is in your life, right? That dream, that goal, that aspiration. So when you get to the end of your life, you don't know regret and you don't know hell. So, no lake of fire, and we go to burn in. But there is a way that we can burn, and that's with regret. So please do whatever you can in this life, in all of your breathing, living days, to know love, to know joy, to know peace, to know togetherness. And through those acts of trying to cultivate all of those things, may you never know hell.